So, my name is Marko Davinic and I'm a professor at the Bismarck State College. I teach soil sciences to ag students. So that is my forte. And I actually got a PhD from soil science from Texas Tech University. And there I did a lot of soil chemistry and more soil microbiology and interactions between these two type of sciences. So what I'm going to talk today with you about is soil biology, and it kind of builds up onto what David said about the microbes and getting microbes to actually grow in different environments, right? So what would be one of the take points? What was the take point that David have about microbes? What is about the microbes that we should pursue? Their what?
Health.
Their health, but more important, I mean, health is important of the microbes and that helps with the environmental health. But should we be caring about one organism or a group of organisms? The diversity, and that's the key. I believe that diversity is more important than looking at one or two particular organisms. Us humans, in general, we like to oversimplify things. It helps us make a decision, right? In farming and ranching is the same thing. We like to oversimplify. We like to say, oh, just look for this one thing, or maybe two things. But don't worry about this other stuff, or we don't even want to mention the other things. And that is a problem. The diversity is complex, meaning you have to consider thousands of different things in soil, literally. Thousands of living things. And these living things are going to be impacted by various environmental aspects. This is the most diverse and most complex environment on this planet. It's more complex than air. It's more complex than water, right? In here, you will have pockets of air, pockets of water. You're going to have pockets of no air availability. So you're going to have anaerobic, aerobic environment. You will have a lot of different nutrients available, right? Different soil types, different moisture regimes. Like in North Dakota, we'll have different soil types associated with west and east based on the creation of the soils. Different moisture regimes, different management practices will leave different types of crops. It's basically organic matter, food for microbes. All of those are going to affect how the microbes grow and what microbes we grow in our soils. My students always like to simplify. They want me to simplify things for them, and they will say, well, if I do this and this, what will I get? And I always tell them, that kind of starts to aggro him after a while. I like to tell him, well, it depends. That's my answer. And it really is. There's no guessing. There's no precise answer when dealing with such a complex system, right? And they will, again, push for a specific answer, and I will tell them, am I a carpenter? Can I walk on water? So there is really no telling for such an answer. But I do try to teach them certain things so they can make up the kind of a educated guess or an estimate of what can happen under certain conditions. And I also teach them how to use tools so that they can maybe like I said, an estimate of what can happen or what's happening in their soils. Mother Nature does give us clues. Mother Nature will show us, maybe it will punish us or maybe reward us, maybe with the higher yields, maybe with a little bit of the healthier environment, right? So we should listen and pay attention to those clues as we go along. So one of the clues for a healthy soil would be these, right? What's this? Aggregates, right? So you have a microaggregate, you have macroaggregate. Actually, my doctorate study, I compare different size of aggregates. I blend them in, and I did extract DNA from them to see what type of microbes live in them. And guess what? Every single one of these aggregates is like a small planet. They're going to have different nutrients associated with it. They're going to have different microbial communities. There are tests in here that we can do right now that will tell you how many different species of fungi you may have, and we actually did run such assay on these the composting here, and we have 165 different species that we found of fungi only. And then we have another 150 species of bacteria in there working together. And that's the concept of diversity is, are they going to work together? Are they going to fight each other? Or probably the correct answer is, again, depends, right? It's probably both, right? Everything happens in these little aggregates. That's where the communications happen. That's where the building of nutrients or release of nutrients is happening. What I like to do, I'm going to show you a couple of things that I do with my students. I have way more things that I couldn't bring in here today, but this is just something that will tickle your imagination and show you the power of maybe something that you can buy in store. So you can buy nutrients, right? In store, you can always replenish them. Some of these nutrients are not the same quality that nutrients that you can probably provide by doing something like this, like composting, like what David was talking about, right? It's not the same quality. There's something that you can even buy, you cannot even do it composting wise. Well, you probably could to a certain degree. This is the microbes there in soil. They're, like I said, they're communicating. They're, David mentioned quorum sensing with me, to me. Quorum sensing meaning that when the microbes in these aggregates reach certain level, they can communicate. And if there's a certain level is up, let's say our diversity is down, that means one of the organisms takes over, they can quorum sense how much of them are in the area, and they can go and maybe do something bad. They can hurt us if it's in our body, or they can hurt the plant if this happens in this area, right? So diversity goes down, illness probably goes up. Again, it depends, but most probably that's the outcome. Now, sometimes, if the certain bacteria is present in the area to the plant, in this rhizosphere region, it can actually provide a really beneficial chemicals called hormones. And I actually stole some hormones from fungi. Actually, I did not. I ordered from Japan, so they stole it. I just paid for it in US dollars. You can see these are different soybeans that I treated 2 days ago. These ones are just the regular soybeans in some potting soil. These are the soybeans that I sprinkle with my hormones that I extracted from fungi, right? So it tells you that these fungi, when they're close to this particular plant, they will release because they want to communicate, right? They get something in response. This particular hormone is called gibberellin, GA3. Now, I also extracted hormone from alfalfa, and it's called triocantanol, and it will make plants branch more often and have more branches and tillers in like wheat. So this is something that you can get by just applying NPKs, right? If you have a healthy soil, guess what? You get this for free. And this is sometimes when you have an event that we cannot explain in the field, they say, well, look at all the corn in that corner, like it looks amazing. Well, sometimes it's something that we actually at this point cannot measure, and it's these particular phyto or bacterial hormones in which they communicate with plants. Any questions on these? Please interrupt me.
So was that a powder or is it a liquid? Or?
It comes in the form of the crystal. So Japanese guys crystallize this thing. It's very potent, and it comes 1 gram costs $3 or $4. But then for 1 gram you can probably do like half an acre if you spray it. You can treat the seed, and then it will increase the germination rate, and it will increase the rate of growth. Yes, and then triocantanol would be the other one that I worked with, and it just, yes, it will.
So is it where commercially available where we can buy it? Or?
A lot of gardeners and vegetables in California already use. China and Brazil are using and abusing this.
Oh boy.
But we are kind of lagging behind because we're like what Bayer and Monsanto does. So I guess until they come up with something.
Right.
But yes, that's a one. Yes, that was a question.
So through research, you figured out which hormones will go with which plant groups?
And that's a good question. We don't know much at this point. We know that most of the plants will react to this. How they will react, it's a different thing. So the grasses versus like a broadleaf plants will act a little bit different. I would not apply these, for example, to sunflower because it will go too big and it will lodge. But I don't know, some grasses, oh, they'll love it. They will love it. They'll go crazy. Your grass in the back of the house would go ballistic over it. Is it? Yeah. So it's an interesting thing. We did not use it in crop science yet. We don't have much of the research, but it's an aspect that, for example, if you have a healthy environment, these will be producing in appropriate amounts. It's like you having an available nutrients. You don't have to tell microbes when to make nutrients available. It's like a slow release fertilizer nature style, right? So the same thing with this. It's slowly becoming available and it's pushing crops. I think when people start abusing this, we're going to have gigantic crops that may not be as the same quality. But does affect also sugar content in vegetables. I know in California they do that. The bricks units of tomatoes are amazing if you use, yes?
You said it was what, GA3?
GA3, yes.
Oh, okay, because I've seen other numbers.
Yes,
GA.
yes.
And that doesn't necessarily mean if you're planning to buy one. It doesn't necessarily mean the potency, right?
No. It's more like the effect, and it's like a type of the old gibberellins, but they're actually really waxy. So you just diluting them and using them, it's kind of tricky. You have to use a special soap to dilute them and then use them. Yes.
Are they staying with the soil or not? They're just on the plant.
The trick about this, again, because the nature didn't intended us just sucking it out, the Japanese people. They do it. I just buy it from them. But in nature, they're slow released, and their half-life is really short. They are light sensitive. So I've been mixing it with the humic acid, the black stuff, and then when I spray them, they have more effect because they stay out longer. Yes?
Is that considered within the range of what are called now biostimulants?
Yes. Yes.
Just mix humic acid, mix hormones, bioregulators, and
yes. And usually you may mix, so for example, humic acid also has micronutrients, so it's a shotgun effect. You're providing more than one thing and you're hoping you can hit one, and usually you do have a deficiency of 1 or 2 micronutrients in our fields. And then you will see, oh wow, look at this, grass. But also this will give it a boost, yes.
How do they extract the hormones?
That's a good question. Apparently it's a laborious thing. You have to blend it in, and there's a special kind of filtering device that they will filter it, and then they will basically dry it and crystallize it. And they sell it in form of crystals. Okay, any other questions with that?
I got a question.
Yes.
You had mentioned that you had used alfalfa to increase the tillering.
Yes, so alfalfa has hormones in itself, right? And then you can extract those hormones from alfalfa. And it's actually it's just as simple as blending them up and squeezing the juice out of them, and then using that juice on your crops. Try it. You will see a difference.
And you had mentioned like other varieties like willows.
Yes, willows also have triocantanol. So certain plants will have they're going to be rich in triocantanol hormones, and they're all natural. So they don't last long. It's not like you're going to spray in there and then you're going to have next year monster tomatoes. No, they're going to be there for like a day or less. So then you may have to reapply. Okay, so what we're going to do right now is talk about how you're going to measure diversity.
How many different plants you have in a certain area?
Okay, great. So you don't necessarily need tests. Just assuming, I guess, that you provide a lot of different food source for them, right? Nobody likes to eat hamburgers every day, or maybe you do, but that's not right, okay? They like different types of food sources, and then if you provide different food sources, if you do crop rotation, right? Then you provide different organic matter, you're basically inviting different groups of organisms and supporting different groups of organisms. Yes, that's the easiest way. You can also do different tests, right? So, I have a test in here, for example, called Biolog that I do with my students. My students bring their soils. Oh, that was close.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so these are basically different carbon sources in here. You can you can take your soil, dilute it in water, and just put it in these wells. And if your organisms are capable of degrading different types of nutrients, they're going to turn purple. If not, they turn not purple, just stay clear. So This is an easy way to see how many different organisms you have. Organisms in soil are really specific to different types of food, so they're not necessarily eating everything. So because they can eat different stuff, you're assuming there are different types of organisms, right?
Where do you get those?
These are about 15 or 16 bucks, and you can get it through this company called Biolog. And you can have one for bacteria, you can have one for fungi. This one is for universal, and it's called EcoPlate. So,
Are they reusable then?
no, it's one use, and after that you can just show your friends. And